Everyone, welcome back to my Game 4 recap video of the Gibraltar Battle of the Sexes chess tournament. This one's going to be a little bit different. In the round, I played Grandmaster Olga Giria from Russia, and we had a really interesting game. And then after the game, I was interviewed on the Gibraltar Chess live broadcast by International Master Irina Blmaga. And I asked permission to incorporate that interview in this video. So rather than the normal recap where I just sit here analyzing the moves, I'm going to include the clip from yesterday where I walked through the game with Irina, and we had a lot of kind of interesting discussion, interesting analysis. And after the interview, I realized that there's something really, really special about the game that we played that I don't want to spoil immediately. So I'll let the whole interview play, and then afterwards I will share the special thing about the game.
And we are back to the Battle of the Sexes, round 4, and I've got here Eric Rosen. How are you, Eric?
I'm good. I'm still cooling down after the game. I just finished like 10 minutes ago, so still adrenaline kind of rushing through my system, but good to be here.
Right, and congratulations for your yesterday's win. How did you feel after that?
I felt good. Yeah, it was a pretty smooth game. I think very instructive game too, from the black side of a Nimzo Indian, and yeah, it felt good to like play a relatively clean game without any mistakes or blunders.
When was the last time you won against a GM?
Oh.
In a classical game.
In a classical game, because online it happens pretty often. That's a good question. I'm not sure. It's definitely the first Grandmaster I've been in at least a couple of years.
Wow,
so,
congrats on that.
Thank
and let's have a look at today's game. Please tell us, when did you think was the first critical moment of the game? You could
yeah, sure. So I went into this kind of Italian, I don't even know what we call this, this d4 and e5 line. Now, I'll admit that I was expecting her to play Caro-Kann, so this was like a secondary opening that I still looked at.
We actually had bets on that, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lauren said she was going to play the Caro-Kann. I went for the e5. So you had the same feeling as Lawrence did. You expected a Caro-Kann.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what to expect because she can play Caro-Kann, e4, e5, and Sicilian. So it's sometimes annoying to prepare against players like this who can play so many different things, and I had to try and just cover all my bases.
So did you have in mind this line when thinking what you'll choose if she plays e5 before the game?
Yeah, I had this position on my computer screen this morning, but during the game I just forgot everything.
Oh, wow.
Because it's my first time playing this opening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I usually don't play e4. I'm usually a London player. And I figured that this is kind of a trendy line these days. I think Wesley So has a chessable course on this line.
Right.
And if black's not prepared, then it can be easy to kind of get a slightly worse position. And because she's a Caro-Kann player, I wanted to test her. But it turned out that I was the one being tested because she was more prepared than me.
So d5, yeah.
Yeah, and we got into this position, bishop b6. This is all theory. And then for some reason, I couldn't remember the move order, whether I'm supposed to castle first or knight c3 first.
No, I think you did it correctly, if our memory was right, of course.
Yeah, like once we reached this position, then the lines kind of came back to me. But I spent maybe 10 minutes off the clock at this point. And
yeah, we were wondering actually why you were taking time, but now that you've explained, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Right. So yeah, thankfully, like after I played Queen C2, I was still in preparation, and the main line I was more ready for here is Bishop G6.
And then Queen B3.
And Queen B3, Knight E7. And then castling, and
then some Bishop D3 lines.
Bishop D3 eventually, and there's a lot of branches after Bishop D3, but
okay,
I would have been happy to go into that.
I will put it on the board. Bishop G6, Bishop D3.
Queen B3 first.
Sorry, right. Queen B3 first, Knight E7.
Castling, C6. So this is like the natural line.
I think I played a game with some knight d2 here.
Knight d2 is a move, yeah, getting the bishop pair essentially. And yeah, it's one of those things of like playing a new opening for the first time. Like I basically learned this opening last like day or two, so it's easy to kind of forget things, and that's why it's more important to just understand what's going on in the position
Right.
rather than just trying to memorize everything.
Definitely, but she took on c3. Did it come as a surprise?
A small surprise, but I knew this was a move. And if we go forward a few moves, I mean, she was blitzing out everything. Like she still had more time than she started with. After f6, takes f6. And I still remember looking at this position, it was either last night or this morning, that black can't take on f3 here because I have the intermediate move, f takes g7, and white's doing well.
Ah, that's a nice intermezzo, right?
Right.
So instead she went for queen takes f6.
Queen f6, and I think it's still theory. After
Yeah, I
bishop
think
e2.
there were a lot of games played in a similar manner.
Right. And I'll admit, after bishop e2, this is pretty much the end of my preparation. And especially after she played knight a5, I was on my own. But thankfully, the position kind of played itself, because after knight a5, she's just asking for me to play knight e5, which I was
Right.
happy to do.
Bishop takes e2, then queen e2, c5, all logical.
Okay, so when she played c5, it looks like a beginner's mistake because she's allows knight d7.
Right, and what is wrong with it?
Yeah, so it's an interesting calculation exercise because at first it looks like I'm just cleanly winning an exchange. But after a few minutes of thinking, I realized that black has queen c6 here.
Queen c6.
And there's a lot of
takes
counterplay
f8.
after knight f8 and cd4.
And the problem is that after, say, c takes d4,
Queen
there is a
c3.
check coming here.
Yeah.
And the rook on a1 is going to get lost.
And it's weird, like after cd4, I'm temporarily up a full rook, but I didn't see a good way to just consolidate and be up material, so I
Right,
wanted to go
because
into
you
this.
you have to give up one of the pieces, either the bishop on e3, no, or the knight on f8, and that's gonna be just an exchange up, right?
Yeah, but it's not easy to be up the exchange here.
Exactly.
Because if I take on d4, there's bishop d4, and even rook e8's now a threat.
Yeah.
And
White
I
might
think
get in trouble here, no?
white might already be losing.
Yeah.
So I just avoided all of that.
And castle short.
Castle, yeah. And then we kept going, cd4. And yeah, a lot of these moves were very natural. Queen e6, now avoiding knight d7. And queen's very useful on e6 because it supports this knight c4 idea.
Right.
So went ahead f4, knight c4.
Yeah, I really liked this knight c4 move. We were not sure how to evaluate this position because it seems like you have a bit of a problem on the light squares, right?
Right, especially with my pawns on dark squares and having
Yeah.
dark squared bishop, and I'm tied down to d4. The move I really wanted to play is g4 and get a setup with g4, f5, and start attacking.
Immediately?
So I want to play g4
yeah,
immediately.
you wanted to make it work, right?
Right. The problem with g4 immediately is, I believe, what was it? I think knight takes e5.
Knight takes. Yeah, and then d4.
And I want to
is
take
coming.
with the d pawn, but then d4, and I'm getting hurt.
Yeah, the pawn on f4 will be falling
Because if
after
bishop f2, rook f4, yeah.
Yeah, right. So you chose to consolidate first, rook a to
So
d1.
rook a d1, yeah, proving my worst place piece. And then,
Here we got a bit worried about this g4, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
We were afraid your king will be too exposed, actually. But you handled it well, it seemed to us, no?
yeah, I think g4 is called for in the position, even though I am leaving my king a bit naked on g1. I do have the kingside majority, so it makes sense to push the pawns. And if I get in f5, then there's f6 potential. I thought black has to be very careful here, but she found a very concrete line: knight takes e5, d5, and rook c4.
It's a very important move, no? Because now you
Right.
don't have time to make f5 happen, no?
Right. So my dream is to play f5 and then e6.
Yeah.
And I call this connect four with the pawn chain. But there's no time to do it because when I play f5, then e5 hangs. And here I had to be really careful not to have my pawns just crumble.
Yeah. So you took on
So
b6.
we trade, and yeah, this was quite concrete. After queen b6, king g2, I lose f4, but I win d5. And yeah, I spent some time here because there's queen d2 as well.
Yeah, we tried to make e6 work, but it didn't.
I didn't consider e6 too seriously.
Yeah, we fought to try a queen sacrifice, but it doesn't work, unfortunately. So queen d2 you fought, right?
So queen d2, yeah, and I thought that at first I thought this should be the strongest move because I hit the rook, I can take on d5 with check, but then she has rook f7,
Rook
saving the
f7.
rook, avoiding the check on d5, and when I take on d5, there's queen f2, king
and-
h1, and queen g3.
And at least there will be a perpetual, right?
Well, I thought, like, I didn't see how
but
to
you
survive
take
in
both
this
pawns.
position. Well, now there's
Yeah.
queen h3, queen f1.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So rook
So-
f1 doesn't work because the rook is hanging.
Right.
Yeah, good point. All right.
So I spent a long time trying to see how I could survive after queen g3, but I didn't see anything clear cut, so decided to just not enter this line.
Yeah, perhaps it was for better, right?
Right. But okay, after I play rook takes d5, it's still a little bit unsettling because queen c6, I'm pinned, had to play queen d3, and then she found an interesting move, rook f8.
Yeah, we were
threatening
trying
rook
to
d8.
make rook c4 work.
was thinking
Going
about
for
this
some
too.
rook c2, rook c3 ideas.
So here there's a funny line. I can play queen f3,
Oh, queen f3.
breaking the pin, and after rook c2, I can play king g3. And then after rook c3, looks like I'm losing a queen, but I'm just mating. with,
Yeah,
rook
that's a funny line.
d8. Yeah.
All right, she
So-
played rook f8 instead.
So rook f8, and yeah, and then I'm still under pressure because rook d8's the threat.
Yeah.
I had to walk my king up, and then she played queen c1, and it looks really scary given that there's all these
Yeah.
checks on the back rank. And yeah, there's queen e1, queen g1 to worry about, and I can't really easily stop everything. But I realized that I can allow black to play queen g1, so I played queen d2 here.
Yeah, that seemed like a very good move because you cover basically all the dark squares, no?
Right, except g1.
Except g1.
So if queen g1 here, I just tuck my king away on h4.
Right.
And then black doesn't have a great follow-up, I don't think.
Yeah, we also thought so because even rook d8 might be possible as after queen f2 you will have some even king g5. And then you are fine because you cover the f6 square, right?
Yeah, my pieces are well placed enough where yeah, black can't hurt me too much.
But she played queen a3.
Queen a3, and then this just led to a repetition of moves. I played rook d3,
Queen c5.
queen c5, rook d5, and I still allow queen g1 if she wants it, but if she didn't play queen g1 in the first position, I didn't think she would play it again. And yeah, we repeated here. So I think it was a relatively peaceful game.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you both were trying to find chances, but both of you played well. So I guess that draw is a fair result.
I think so, yeah. I'm really curious to check the opening theory and also check with the engine to see if there were anything missed in this game.
I am curious to ask you, how do you feel when you know there are so many supporters cheering for you? Does it motivate you to go for even more than you would normally?
Yeah, it's definitely motivating. And I definitely, like, one of my goals this tournament is to play really interesting and fighting chess. And I think it allows me to kind of detach myself from the results. Now, it's easy to just focus on just trying to win or trying to play solidly. But for me, I'm just trying to have interesting games and and instructive games too. Learn a
Oh,
thing or two.
that's a really nice strategy, I believe, and I wish you luck with that.
Thanks so
Before
much.
letting you go, I have one more question.
Sure.
I saw that you are great friends with Irene Sukandar, right? And you are gonna play in this tournament eventually against each
In the
other.
final round, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, in the final round. I did
Right.
not know that. So how are you trying to make a mindset for that? How is it to play against friends generally?
Yeah, so we were actually teammates at Webster University back in 2015 through 2017, and yeah, it's always tricky playing a former teammate because we train together, we know each other's repertoires,
Right.
and I mean for me, I'm just trying to take it one game at a time, so I'm not looking too far ahead at my future opponents, even taking it one move at a time. So. Yeah, I'll worry about it when the day comes, but for now, I'm just trying to play good moves.
Sure. And you had a very nice comeback as a team yesterday, winning with a very high margin,
true.
+4. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
And what are your thoughts now about the situation in the match?
Yeah, I didn't have a chance really to look at the other games going on this round because I was just so focused on my own game. And it's a tricky thing about team chess because, of course, you want to be rooting for your team, you want to keep an eye on the team's games, but in the end, chess is still an individual game, and really, I'm trying to do my own job and play to the best of my ability. So. I hope that we can score another plus score in this round, but yeah, it's nice when there is a team to kind of lift you up, especially if I have a bad game or bad result. It's nice when the team can
So your team
score some
spirit's
points.
nice here. Do you have team meetings? Do you have any secret meetings for settling up a strategy for the next game?
Yeah, I don't want to reveal too many secrets, but we do have a WhatsApp group where we share some secrets. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I wish you best of luck in the next games.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. All right. First of all, thanks for making it this far. I appreciate you watching the whole thing through, except to those of you who maybe skipped until this point, but I'll forgive you. So I do want to share the special thing about this game. It turns out that according to Lichess, this was a near perfect game. If we look at the computer analysis, neither of us made any inaccuracies, mistakes, or blunders throughout the game. Very clean game. Maybe there were some moments where there was a very small edge for white, but overall, yeah, I was actually surprised to see this because there were a lot of complicated and funny lines to navigate through. But it feels good to play a really accurate game. This might be the most accurate game I've ever played in my life. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the game. If you have questions, as usual, leave them in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe. It does help the channel grow. And I do encourage you to tune into the live broadcast. It will start at 2 p.m. London time, 3 p.m. Gibraltar time, 8 a.m. Central time in the US, youtube.com/jibchess. And I encourage you not only to watch my game, but the whole event in general. There's some really exciting games. The format is really exciting. Currently, the match is a 1-point difference between men and women. The women are leading, so hopefully we will mount a comeback today. So stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.